That's the intro, right?
I can keep it in.
Sure, let's do it. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. That's what this is called.
Oh my god,
It's a little experiment. Well, we talk about Jimbo Fisher. That's not the first thing we talk about. Well, we talk about Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, we do.
We also talk about the other firings. Who else is on the hot seat? We recap last week in football. We talk very little basketball because.
Yeah, we'll find out.
I mean, suck it, LSU. Also, by the way, we do pick'ems. We do pick'ems at the end of the episodes. I don't think anyone knows that, so I'm just saying that now. Because I don't think any of you watched to the end of this episode. It's fine, though. Now you know. Now you don't have an excuse. All right. We'll see you in the episode.
Enjoy the episode, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the College Town Podcast. I'm Derek DeBurger. With me is Sam Roth.
Hi there, guys.
Neither of us are Jewish.
Nope.
I just now thought, your name's Roth. I've got curly hair.
Yeah.
Fun fact, for the last 3 Januaries, I have been asked what I got for Hanukkah.
Really?
3 Januaries in a row I've been asked.
Want to know a funny story about me with my Jewish last name?
I know the story, but
sure, absolutely. So
this is not what we're planning on talking about.
No. Might as well go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So in first grade, there was a girl in my class named Gia Nicole, who was Jewish.
Gia.
And her dad used to come and teach us how to spin dreidel and have gold chocolate coins and teach us how to play dreidel and stuff and everything like that.
I did that when I was in elementary school.
It's honestly pretty cool. I got gold chocolate coins out of it. What's not to love?
Yeah.
Well, I guess her dad seeing me and my last name Roth and everything.
Yep.
Along all those lines, asked my parents and set up like a little play date, and we went and saw Cars together. It's like our first little date.
Cars.
Good old Cars. Lightning McQueen.
Yeah.
2006, let me tell you. And it was a good time. Really enjoyed Cars on the big screen. It was great. Looked at her dad. I was like, great. And I think her dad was like planning like, okay, this is a boy we found at like 6 years old. This is who she's going to spend with for the rest of her life with. Turns out the very next year I transferred schools and never saw her again. But, yeah.
And it's... He set you guys up on the date because he thought you were Jewish.
1000% thought I was Jewish.
That's good stuff. That's
that's
you know what? You gotta love the type A from this guy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
respect it. I really do. As someone who's for almost 2 years now been dating a type A girl, I respect it.
Go get her, huh?
Yeah. Good old Halloween Town.
Shout out Halloween Town.
Yeah.
Does she watch this?
I think she has it on the background sometimes.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, she does homework. I think she likes background noise.
Fair enough.
Anyway, what we were going to get to was Jimbo Fisher.
Yes.
Jimbo Fisher is what we were going to talk about.
Yeah,
originally.
a lot of news happened there with Jimbo Fisher. But
Yeah. He's out. He's out of here. You know what? Jimbo Fisher now has probably the best job in all of academia, which is a fired football coach.
I was thinking this too before we started. I was like, man, how great would it be to have a little bit of success, get that big contract at that next level school, that high-end school, just to get fired. Him, Ed Ogeron is another one that comes to mind. Just collecting facts.
Gus Malzahn is probably still getting paid by 2 schools right now.
Oh, my gosh.
So Jimbo Fisher got fired on Sunday after winning by 41 points.
I know. It was
It's crazy.
He won, like, what was it?
They won 51-10.
Which means that this decision was already made.
Oh, they made this decision after Ole Miss. I've been saying it all year. They needed to go 9-3 or better to keep him, not to get him off the hot seat, to keep him. And that the second they got that 4th loss, I think they had enough.
So then my question is, why not just fire him right then and there? Why go another week where he puts out a dominating performance and be like, yeah, now you're fired? Like, the timing of it doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
But I will say the firing does make sense. The timing doesn't make sense, but the firing makes sense.
So here is why I think they did it when they did. A lot of times when a school wants to fire a coach, and there's never necessarily a good time to fire someone. It's obviously much easier to do it at the end of the year, but there's never a good time to do it. And a lot of times when they have to do it not at the end of the year, whatever it is, the Board of Trustees, the Board of Regents, whatever that school calls it, A&M is their Board of Regents. they'll schedule an impromptu meeting to discuss the firing. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I think they already had a meeting scheduled for Sunday, and I don't think they wanted to. They were like, we're already meeting. Well, who cares if they beat Mississippi State or not? Like, we'll meet then and fire them.
They won by a lot.
They won by a lot. And then we'll touch on this more later, but then, 2 days, or no, not even 2 days later, 1 day later, Zach Arnett got fired at Mississippi State.
Yeah, he did.
But
probably for the loss.
No, they weren't that good.
But gosh, when's the last time that both coaches played each other and both got fired?
I don't know.
That's probably a unique stat where it's like, okay, because like there's been like some things around, like I know in like English Premier League soccer where it's like Manchester United versus Tottenham were playing, and it was called El Sacico, which basically was whichever manager lost, they were in the hot seat, and basically they needed to win that game to keep their job. No, basically, yeah, honestly, like that is like a joking real thing that happened.
That's great.
Where both teams were like in hot turmoil, and they're like, okay, whoever loses this game is basically going to get sacked, get fired. And thank goodness Tottenham lost and got their coach fired because he sucked, and then they moved on to another one. But anyway, it's like I don't know of that ever happening. I can't imagine.
I do know.
Imagine winning a game and you get fired, but
I do know that Louisville one year made it to I believe the Liberty Bowl, and they were playing in the Liberty Bowl, and they were playing well at halftime, and then out of the half. In between halftime, it had been announced that John L. Smith had taken a job to go coach for Michigan State.
Oh,
and
wow.
so all the other players on the opposing team came out at halftime, and they were making fun of Louisville players, and they were like, you guys are playing for a coach that's just not even going to be there. And they're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, he just took the Michigan State job. And then so they just folded after that. But I've never heard anything of like two coaches
getting fired.
Coaching against each other, getting fired after the game they coach against each other.
Right.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
But I mean, so more on the Jimbo, whatever. Their names are so similar.
Yep.
More on Jimbo Fisher. He's getting the number is. It doesn't seem like anyone knows it for sure. It's anywhere around $75 to $77 million in buyout money, which is
insane.
And he's in Texas, so there's 0% state income tax that he's paying.
So he's just racking all that in.
Yeah, he's got to give a little bit to Jimmy Sexton, and then he'll probably pay federal.
Do we know
taxes.
who's intern for them?
No, I don't actually. I'm trying to look that up. I would assume, honestly, Bobby Petrino. Like, why would you not put Bobby in
I
the
could give you
interim role?
multiple reasons.
Yeah, but he's a good offensive coach. They've got a ton of talent. He's clearly someone, I think, that just lost interest at Louisville. And
Elijah Robinson.
Don't know who that is. Don't click that. Okay.
What?
No, that X just got rid of the story.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oops.
Anyway, I don't know. I would have put Bobby in. But, whatever. Anyway, so he's getting anywhere from $75 to $77 million in buyout. That is a record buyout. The next closest, or the previous record, was $21 million when Auburn fired Gus Malzahn.
Gosh, so he's getting 3 times.
More than 3 times that. It's
That's
insane.
insane. Which is kind of crazy because that just goes to show that Texas A&M, you got to win because they got money.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it like the most heavily funded public university?
It is. They have
the most backing, at least. Like donors or something?
They have the largest enrollment of any university in America.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they've got a ton of money. They have a ton of money. And also,
And a lot of it's going to Jimbo Fisher.
Well, the thing is, they're going to have to buy out all the assistants, too. No one ever... People rarely bring that up when you talk about, firing coaches and buyouts and then also hiring coaches. Usually the buyout for all the assistants adds up to $1 to $3 million. It's probably going to be closer to $3 million here because it's Jimbo's getting paid that much.
Right.
There's no way, he's going to be like, yeah, let's go hire the cheapest guys we can get. Like, no, he's bringing in former head coaches, up and coming guys.
Right.
They're going to have pretty big buyouts. So really that 75 to 77 is going to turn into 78 to 80 million just to buying them out. Plus, they got to pay someone else's buyout to get.
It's ridiculous, the amount of money.
I mean, Texas A&M has shown. I don't know how their athletics department is. I know they make a lot of money, but I mean, they have shown that the money is no object for them.
Right. I'll ask you this now: who's the front runner? Who's your front runner to get this job? Because in a way, it is a glamorizing position to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. Because I mean, like, the money's there, the fans are there. The tradition is not there.
Yes and no. They have a tradition of having a really passionate fan base.
I'm not saying that. I'm talking like on-field performance.
Yeah,
They strike me as like that 10-2 to like 8-4 team. They don't strike me as the team that goes one loss. They're in the conversation for the playoffs. That's never really happened.
The closest thing to that was
Manziel.
2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they finished number 4 in the country.
Oh.
2020.
Well,
That's why I think he is. There's so much anger around it from the Texas A&M fans. Is because 2 years in a row they were number 6 in the preseason poll, simply because of that 1 year where they went. I don't know, what was it, like 9-1, 10-1, something like that during the COVID year, and they finished number 4 in the country. And so they've had, and they do have a lot of talent. They've been recruiting extremely well.
Right. Well, I mean, it's not that hard when you can just offer a lot of money now.
Yeah, but so there's just been these super high expectations, and he just hasn't met them. So they flirted with it once. I mean, preseason wise, they flirted with it 2 years in a row. But they've never really been contenders to make the playoff. But they strike me more as like an Arkansas basketball. Like that's the team I would compare them to.
Arkansas's like been recently good. Doesn't really have like too
they've
much
got
tradition.
a national championship in the late '90s, early 2000s.
I'm not sure, honestly.
They do have one national championship in basketball.
But
and it's a really passionate fan base for Arkansas men's basketball.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna go back to the question: who's the front runner for you?
Yeah, I got a little long-winded there, but
You're fine.
no, I do think that was to say that you said it's not like a top tier job, but it is.
It's a good job. It's a good job to
you're
have.
gonna get paid a lot of money. You're in the
Either
SEC.
way, you're gonna get paid a lot of money. Well, you do a good job or not.
I've seen
I
Mike
got
Elko.
That's one I had too.
He was a former assistant coach at A&M.
Yep. I had Mike Elko, and I have one more.
Is it Dan Lanning?
Nope.
Okay. Dan Lanning is one I have heard a lot of people floating around.
Dan Lanning is at where again?
Oregon.
Ooh.
The thing about Dan Lanning, though, his buyout is $20 million.
Means nothing for A&M.
Exactly. They will literally pay $100 million just to get rid of.
Though it'll be more
that's if they bring in.
That's just to get a coach.
Yeah.
Fire you and get a coach, not have to pay the coach.
Yeah. That's if they bring in Dan Lanning.
Man.
To replace Jimbo.
I have mine.
Is it Jeff Traylor?
Nope.
Who is it?
Lance Leipold.
He's you know what? He's done a very good job. I would go after Chris Kleiman, maybe.
Chris Kleiman is interesting. I mean, definitely I could see him leaving Kansas State.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they've got the potential to. They don't have the same AD that that lured away Jimbo.
Well, right now there's like two high middle tier jobs available in Michigan State and Texas A&M. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see. You could also throw in like just a tier below that. It's like Mississippi State.
Yeah, because it is an SEC job.
Right.
You know, like that's like a lot of people want to get in on SEC and Big Ten money right now.
Oh, of course. So like those are probably in.
Yeah, and those seem to be the only. Those are the only head coaching jobs available as of now.
Moment,
well,
right.
Technically.
Yeah.
This is a little quick hitter. Brady Hoke at San Diego State announced that he's going to retire at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. They might have fired him. Honestly, he's not been good in his second stint.
Oh, they Jim behind him.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not very in tune with San Diego State athletics. I just know that he has been a bit of a letdown since coming back. He was there for 2 years originally, had a great year his last year, parlayed that into the Michigan job, got canned at Michigan, and then eventually came back, I think 3 or 4 years ago. They have not been that good under him. And San Diego State is a program that is a good football program. You know,
Really?
they're a good Group of 5 football program.
I know
Historically,
I know they have a good basketball program. I didn't know.
Yeah, they're good football too. It's not. They're not as good a Group of 5 as like Boise. You know,
Boise just has like those national championships runs in the early 2000. I mean, mid to early 2000s.
I don't think they ever won the national championship.
No, but I mean, like they had those runs in the championships
Yeah.
and stuff like that. BCS bowls caliber.
Oh yeah, when they the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, Fiesta
against,
Bowl, Statue of Liberty,
yeah,
Oklahoma.
Yep, Oklahoma. But
Running back like proposed to his.
yeah, I mean, San Diego State is just a step below that as far as Group of 5 programs.
Yeah, I would agree
So,
with that.
I
I mean,
it's a solid job.
when I think a Group of 5 right now, like recency bias, it's like JMU because of what they've been able to do the past 2 years.
I think that's all Kurt Signetti though.
I mean, yeah, but then it's also like them. Now with, I was gonna say UCF obviously, but now
That's
they're
a power
power
program,
conference now. I don't know, like more FCS schools come to mind, like San Diego State and North Dakota State and stuff like that, but that's not even in the same conference. I don't know who would be like a solid Power 5 other than Boise. Basically, I'm trying to
App
think of
State
other.
is okay.
App State, yeah. Yes and
okay.
no. I mean, not this year, but yeah.
Well, anyway, let's get back to Jimbo.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if the school fired him with a guy in mind. I think they were like,
We're just done with this.
Yeah, which is, by the way, not what you want to do. You always want to fire someone only if you have someone in mind.
Well, to be fair, there is the argument there where it's like they know who they are, they know what they're worth, they know what they can offer. There is something to be said about like they could think that they could go out and get who they want within reason.
Yeah, but
Like you're not getting a Kirby Smart, you're not getting a Nick Saban, you're not going to go out and get like
Yeah,
a
you're not
Ryan
gonna-
Day. You know, you're
Yeah.
not going to get those guys, but honestly there's other than like the quote unquote blue bloods like LSU, Alabama, Georgia, you can really like Lane Kiffin, honestly. Could they get like a Lane Kiffin?
oh, they absolutely could. I
That's
think
what I'm saying. And like
I
Lane
think they
Kiffin is just
because that's a little bit of a lateral movement. Because if you
right.
because I think people always think the Ole Miss job is a better job than it is, just because it's in the SEC. They play Alabama,
I mean, like
Georgia a lot,
I
but
mean,
like
like
they
outside
don't
of
have a phenomenal history of football there.
I mean, honestly,
good, but,
if you look at it, it's like in the SEC, outside of like Alabama, Georgia, and you could maybe argue LSU.
I would argue LSU,
I mean, like A&M is right there, right below those three schools. There's-
Tennessee.
Yes and no.
Not in recent history, but like
No, no,
historically.
historically,
yes.
sure, but like definitely not recently. But also just the money, the pool of the money, to know like now that NIL's in play and knowing what you have at your disposal to go get players. I mean, you can literally go get a kid that you want, have him flip the day before signing day. I mean, they did that to us with Ruben Owens.
Yeah, but also, I mean that's a little bit of a
stretch.
no, not a stretch. I mean, clearly that deal was worked out before he had flipped because he immediately flipped to Texas A&M. But the coach got fired, you know, and the running back coach left to go follow Satterfield to actually Satterfield didn't get fired. My mistake. Satterfield left to go to Cincinnati. The running back coach followed him to Cincinnati. That's the big guy that drew in Ruben Owens.
Oh, okay.
And then Ruben, once he was gone, he was like, I don't care.
Right.
But
It is interesting, but I mean, like, the money's there, the fans are there. It's in the SEC. You're gonna have those TV games, and you're gonna get national television. It's a pretty attractive job.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the only thing that's, a factor is, I think it's two things that are a factor. It's one, do you really want to put up with the fans? Because Jimbo was doing fine. He wasn't doing great. He had some down years, he had some up years, but like he was doing fine. And then they canned him. But also, do you really think that you can take that job and then compete with the Alabamas and the Georgias? Like, do you think you can take that step up, make it go up a tier?
Is A&M the same level as like Penn State? Can win all the unimportant games, can't win the important games?
I mean, right now they're below Penn State as far as
right, but
Penn State only has to try and beat Ohio State and Michigan,
which
and
they haven't
never
been able to do. Nope.
They never do it.
That's another question for you. So, do you think James Franklin will ever be on the hot seat because mediocrity? And I think here's one for you. I don't think you have this one written down because he's definitely not.
I don't. Yeah.
He's definitely not on a hot seat. So I just want to mention it. It's like, do you ever think there gets to a point to where the fan base and the AD get stagnant with not necessarily mediocrity, but you know that your team is always that 9-3, 8-4, or 10-2 area, and you want to try to make that move to beat one of those teams, but you just are never able to?
Yeah.
So like, do you pull the trigger on that where you're like, hey, we got to make a change here because we're always going to be bowl eligible, but we're not going to be anything more than that. We're not playing for a BCS bowl.
Mm-hmm. I think that is the exact conversation that something like that. To do that, you have to have a guy in mind. You can say, "Oh, we need to take that next step," and that's great. Go ahead and try to take the next step. But if you don't have a specific coach in mind who will help you, who will make you take that next step, then don't fire your guy. Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Especially, and I think that's going to be a little less of an issue with the 12-team playoff coming forward, because
everyone's going to have a shot more and more. Those 2 loss teams are going to.
You're going to have some.
2 losses isn't the end.
Yeah,
of the
2 losses not the end of the your season's not over.
No.
Honestly, there's going to be some 3-loss teams.
On the tail end of
and
that.
So,
because right now we're what, 9 teams with 1 loss in the big Power Fives.
1 loss or less.
Yeah. 1 loss or less. It's 9.
Yep.
And
then plus you have
got 5 undefeateds plus Oregon
3 that are
Tex.
1 loss or better in Group of 5.
Right. Because you got Tulane, JMU, Liberty.
Yeah, and then a lot of those teams still have to play each other.
Right, and then you also have so running down the list now, no specific order: Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Louisville.
Yeah.
So yeah, right there is your 12, but it won't happen like that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think. You want to. Here's my philosophy. As an athletic director, you want to go out and get the. You want to get the name that people want. You want to go and get someone that other people want. But that doesn't also just mean
better
making the biggest splash.
No, it doesn't. But there is something to be said about going after someone no one wants, but you see something in a guy.
Yeah, but. I don't know. I think A&M is going to just try to do the biggest splash hire that they can, and be like, "Here we go, we fixed it." Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin,
I was gonna say Lane Kiffin.
I think it's gonna be Dan Lanning or Lane Kiffin, and I didn't know this. Dan Lanning is he's like a southeastern guy.
Come on down, Cliff Kingsbury. Welcome back to A&M football.
I have heard that name floated. That he's not getting hired.
Cliff Kingsbury. Boy, oh boy, you went from Jimbo Fisher offense, here's Cliff Kingsbury offense. Here's one better for you. Biggest name possible. Who has one of the best offenses this year? Come on down, Lincoln Riley.
I would hire Lincoln Riley if you can get him. Why not?
No, I would not hire Lincoln Riley.
You serious?
No.
No, I would hire Lincoln Riley.
After the year they've had, they have a generational quarterback at the helm, and they're not ranked.
Yeah, because they don't have an offensive line or a defense.
Right, and whose fault is that?
Some of it falls on him, sure.
Come on.
I would hire Lincoln Riley. Look, I think they're going to get Dan Lanning or
Elko.
Lane Kiffin. Mike Elko also. We'll see what he does. Because I think
on the radar they're going to get.
Yeah, I think Mike Elko and Lance Leipold, they're moving on.
Oh, definitely. Lance Leipold doesn't have a fan base at Kentucky. Not Kentucky, Kansas. Wrong K team.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to recap the week?
Sure, we can recap it.
We should probably. I feel like go quick. Just
we've talked for a minute about.
Yeah. for about
Jewish girls and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, the biggest games, of course, the ones that have playoff implications. Ole Miss is now eliminated from the playoff officially as they lost to Georgia. Penn State is officially eliminated as they lost to Michigan.
Florida stays alive. Florida State stays alive.
Yeah, Florida State stays alive with a close win over an unranked Miami team. A Miami team that has a lot of talent, though. I'm not just saying that because Louisville plays them this week. But they do have a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah, it was a close game.
Yeah.
Their freshman quarterback, who probably broke his left arm, looked phenomenal in the game.
It has been announced he's not playing.
Well, of course he isn't. He had an inflatable cast and was crying his eyes out.
Well, I didn't see that.
He sacrificed himself to get a fourth down. He put his body on the line for a team.
Did they get the fourth down?
Oh, he did. He got the fourth down and broke his arm.
That's a guy right there. That's a player.
Dude, and because they just benched him, what's his name? Van Dyke?
Yeah.
They benched Van Dyke for this game.
And he's coming back.
Yeah, he is.
I think they've announced he's starting against
Well,
Louisville.
he's got to. They got no other option. And he came in for the closing drive to make something happen. Had to go 80 yards and end up throwing a pick. But yeah,
Well,
I honestly think that game could have been. I mean, it was a lot. The Miami had to go 70 some yards in a couple of minutes.
yeah, which is not impossible.
No,
Certainly not possible.
But
yeah, other games that have sort of playoff implication, but didn't really move the needle all that much, just by one team being in the playoff picture or at least the conversation, and then another not. But it was an important game.
right.
Like we said, Florida State, Miami, Washington survived against Utah.
Yep.
Alabama just they stomped Kentucky.
I think the next game you're about to talk about is a curb stomping.
I was gonna skip that one because I didn't have a.
No, but that game. Sorry, you can continue.
All right.
I'll get to it.
All right.
I really want to mention that game.
And then we got the two that have teams that are still alive in the playoff picture, but barely won, and that is Louisville over Virginia Thursday night, and then Texas over TCU, just barely.
A lot needs to happen for Louisville to be top 4.
Yeah.
A lot.
Really, if you honestly, I was looking at it earlier because we're Louisville fans. Sorry, we're biased. But if you think about it, there just needs to be Texas just needs to drop a game, and then they're out of contention. And then either Michigan or Ohio State needs to lose 2. That's the biggest.
Well, yeah.
Because a one-loss Michigan or Ohio State team that does not compete for their conference championship, they're going to put them in over Louisville, who is a conference champion. Also, Louisville, of course, has to win out. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the most difficult thing. Louisville's probably out. Even though they keep winning, ESPN keeps putting the percent chance of them going to the playoff. 2 weeks ago, it was 6%. Last week, it was 2%. Now it's 1%. It just keeps falling.
Well, yeah, because a lot needs to happen. They don't lose. They don't lose the Pitt. They're ranked 6th in the nation right now.
I don't think they're ranked 6.
Yeah, they are.
They're probably ranked 7 or 8.
No, they're ranked 6.
I can see that argument. I can.
I mean,
the committee does seem to value record above all.
Right. I mean, they're granted the teams that they have played isn't as best win as what Notre Dame or Duke.
Notre Dame probably, but I know what you're saying, but as you look at it, their schedule's gotten more impressive over time just because the teams that they're playing are winning, but at the same time, they're also playing ACC teams.
Right.
Which the ACC is not amazing this year.
No, there's expectations for certain teams to be good, and they're not.
Yeah. So I get that argument, but I also think that the schedule has been a little bit tougher than people were giving it credit for. But I absolutely get the argument. We'll move on.
I want to get a hypothetical from you.
Yes.
Okay? So Alabama wins out, meaning that they beat Georgia. Mm-hmm. Georgia wins out as well, except for in the SEC championship game. So you have a one-loss Alabama team. You have a one-loss Georgia team, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of Ohio State and Michigan State went out, and the other one's only one loss to that team. All right, so the other team goes and beats Iowa or whoever in the championship.
Yeah.
So you got Michigan and Ohio State. So one of them's undefeated, and then you got Washington wins out as not Washington.
Yeah.
Oregon.
Okay.
Oregon goes and wins out against Washington.
Okay, so you're just chaos, like a ton of one-loss teams, is what you're saying?
So basically, your only undefeated teams are like Florida State and like Ohio State or like Michigan, and then everyone else is one loss. Who are you cutting?
Am I cutting? I'm gonna put Alabama in.
So Alabama's in.
You said Washington loses?
Washington loses to Oregon in the championship.
I'd probably put Oregon in.
So
I
Oregon.
would probably put Oregon in over Georgia.
Gotcha. So Alabama, Oregon.
Then the two undefeated teams.
So
Florida State
and
Ohio
whoever.
State or Michigan. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a tough call.
It is. It's very interesting because
I think
like,
the toughest call was between Oregon and Georgia. Because in that scenario, Georgia has pretty firmly solidified that they look like the best team in the country right now. They were not playing like that earlier, in my opinion.
right, they weren't.
You think it's Michigan still, but
It's like Michigan or Ohio State. That's my take.
Yeah.
It's Michigan or Ohio State right now. I mean, Ohio State.
I think they just haven't had to play anyone.
Michigan didn't have to throw the ball against Penn State to beat them.
That's true. They didn't throw it. The only time they threw it in the second half got called back for a penalty, so there was no recorded passes in the
Right.
second half.
I mean, like, if that doesn't assert your dominance, I don't know what does. Where it's like, hey, we're going to do this. Stop it. Against a team that's ranked, what, 7th in the nation at the time or whatever it was?
They were 10, I believe.
Eight or, well, yeah.
Yeah, they were 10, I think.
Right, but I mean, like, you're doing that against a top 10 team.
Yeah.
I think that shows a lot.
Maybe it's just Penn State's not that good.
Also, the quarterback that you have, it was like a preseason, like, Heisman Trophy candidate.
And he's currently a Heisman Trophy candidate.
I don't think so anymore.
He'll get invited. He's not.
It's Penix, Nix, Harrison Jr., and maybe Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
Those would be your 4.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll. There could be chaos for the college football playoff.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, other good games, notable games, close games, upsets. There weren't a lot of upsets this week, actually. Tennessee got trounced by Missouri. I'm not shocked, honestly.
No, but what they need to do is look at what Missouri's defense was able to do against what's supposed to be a good John Heupel offense.
Josh Heupel.
Josh, not John. My bad.
Close enough.
But because I mean, like, they literally held them to like nothing. They stopped the crap out of them.
Yeah.
So I think
You say Georgia needs to look at what Missouri did?
1,000%. I mean, just take that scout and use it, because oh my God, it wasn't a game, obviously.
After halftime, it was 13-7 going into the half.
Right.
And then they
it was
just
not a game.
ran away with it. They scored.
I mean, their
23.
Right, but their offense figured it out, but their defense was phenomenal throughout the entire game.
Yeah. Arizona just barely pulled off the victory against Colorado.
Yeah.
Showing Colorado's got a little bit of life. I you know what? I want to get your take on this. I have heard specifically Stephen A. Smith.
Sure.
Stephen A. Smith said he wants Texas A&M to hire Deion Sanders. What's your thoughts on that?
Why wouldn't he take the job?
But I mean, as far as like Deion, like Texas A&M, would you hire Deion Sanders? Is that your go-to guy?
I mean, like, if he can show that he knows how to form an offensive line and defensive line, sure. But, like, right now that's not being shown, and I think because, I mean, the whole reason why you would hire him is because he's the best candidate. And right now, there can be an argument that he could be the best candidate, but I don't think he is right now. But also, that being said, it's like, let me put it this way. I think there's better hires. I don't think it's a bad hire.
If you're Mississippi State, do you hire him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I'm honestly, I'm all for that one.
Yeah.
He coached in Mississippi already, so.
I was going to say, like.
So he's already got ties there.
I mean, like, Mississippi State, like, yeah, if I can get Deion, I'll take Deion. Because, I mean, like, your recruiting aspect, like, there's the whole.
Do you know where Deion Sanders is from?
Florida somewhere. He went to Florida State.
Yeah, he looks like he's from Florida. Probably somewhere south Florida.
Fort Myers.
Is that South Florida? I don't actually know for sure.
No, but he went to Florida State, so.
All right.
I'm just saying, like, Dion brings a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, he's the whole reason why we're talking about Colorado this year. For the whole year, basically. And still talking about him.
Yeah.
When's the last time you talked about Colorado football? Before him.
It's been a while. You know what? 2016, their coach won Coach of the Year.
Right.
I don't remember what coach that was. I'm going to look that up.
That's like 8 years.
7 years. Sorry, but yes.
All I'm saying is, like, Dion brings a lot to the table. And I mean, like, if you want to flash the bling and the rings and all that stuff and back it up, sure. I mean, like, A&M's definitely the school that has the funding for it all.
Yeah, I just think if you can get him, like, if you're Mississippi State, why would you not get him? I just think for Texas A&M, you're a little bit more of an established program. I think so. You go after someone like a Mike Elko or a Dan Lanning or a Lane Kiffin.
Well, I mean, like,
Mike McIntyre.
Also, the other thing about it, though, is just, like, are you going to basically, is Dion even willing to leave Colorado after a year?
I don't know.
Because, I mean, like, I do think there is something to be said about, like,
wanting to stick by your word.
Well, not even, like, by your word, but, like, just to build something.
Yeah.
And by on-the-field performance, too, Dion hasn't done anything on-the-field performance-wise that's, like, been very impressive. Like, what's Colorado's best win this year? Like, if you're talking about on-the-field performance,
it's TCU,
right.
A 4-6 team.
Right.
You know?
So it's, I mean, to be fair though, to Colorado, that's kind of what we expected this year. We didn't expect Dion to come in and change the program overnight.
I think. Well, I think the difference is, I think a lot of people expected 4 wins, or somewhere in the neighborhood of that from Colorado this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they expected a 3-0 start.
Right.
That's what got everyone.
They
like,
came off
whoa,
hot.
Colorado.
Well, also they played a TCU team that we thought was going to be good, and they weren't.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, on-field performance, no, I would not hire Dion. But what Dion offers, being Dion, there's something that is attractive there.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. But all right. Real quick, other games. Tulane squeaked one out against Tulsa, a team that got housed by SMU earlier this year. So they keep their hopes alive for a New Year's Six Bowl. Duke, without Riley Leonard, took UNC to double overtime.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
You were close.
Yeah, I was very close. They had him in my portfolio.
And let me tell you, if that happened, Louisville didn't have to beat Miami to go to the championship game.
Well, it's not like they're gonna. It's not like they were hoping to not try and beat Miami.
No, but I mean, like, it's nice to know that you have the job secured.
Yeah, and then also Texas Tech beat Kansas because they were down to their third-string quarterback. Who, I think Lance Leipold's done a great job there.
Yeah,
they were competitive with their third-string quarterback in the game.
There you go.
I think he's fantastic. All right, the news for the week. We talked about Jimbo. That's by far the biggest thing. Zach Arnett at Mississippi State also got fired.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very rushed hiring after the death of Mike Leach.
Oh, yeah.
And also the guy who hired him, I think he was an interim athletic director at Mississippi
The good
State.
old interim athletic director, huh?
Yeah.
We know all about that.
Yeah, I don't think he's the same guy that's currently at Mississippi State. Also, Penn State fired their offensive coordinator. So, because they can't do anything against Ohio State or Michigan.
That is one thing that I was mentioning about, like, James Franklin, where it's like, maybe it's like, okay, you weren't able to prove it against the big teams. We're going to make these lower level changes before it's you. It's like, maybe it's one of those where it's like the AD comes in, it's like James Franklin is like, okay, you can't win the games. It's either you or your people. It's like, well, it's not going to be me.
Man.
That's all hypothetical, but yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to get to these coaches?
You want to talk about the national championship last year?
Oh, yeah.
We'll just briefly touch on it.
Oh, the women's basketball.
Yeah.
To sum it up short, women's basketball officiating is horrendous, and it always has been.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is very bad.
Yeah, the NCAA, they did an audit of the national championship game last year between LSU and Iowa. They found that only 88% of the calls and no calls in the game were correct, as opposed to the normal 91%.
Which is still so bad.
Yeah, but there's human error, you know. I'm willing to give them the
I mean, like,
benefit
to
of
give
the
you an
doubt there.
idea, for, like, umpires in major leagues, the average is, like, 94, 95%. And they're calling every single pitch.
That's true. Yeah.
To be 91, where it's just, like, you maybe have to blow your whistle. You don't blow your whistle every possession. You know what I mean? Like, God, that's so bad.
No, it is terrible. It is terrible. But
88% is really bad.
yeah, well, so that's what they said. An anonymous NCAA referee did his own review of the national championship game and said that it was way worse than 88% of calls missed. He didn't give an actual percentage, but he said it was terrible. But he did what the NCAA did not do, and he actually gave specifics on which calls were missed or not called correctly.
The last thing you want to do is,
yeah.
I think the NCAA, last thing they want to do is fire at the people that are trying to officiate their game, because it is a thankless job.
I will say, though, the anonymous ref that did it, basically what he came up with was like, it was called pretty terribly. It was called pretty terribly both ways. It doesn't look like a team got
like an advantage to it?
Yeah, with exception of like the specific bad calls late in the game, because those tend to have much more impact than calls early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty evenly bad. But, I mean, yeah, this just further details how bad officiating is in women's college basketball. I mean, it's awful. It's
very bad.
At times, it's unwatchable. When there's nothing at stake for you personally, and it's not like a big game, it can be like just unbearable. I remember I had a regular season Boise State game on a few years ago, just because it was on. I was watching, and I was like, this is awful. The refs are making it, like, just completely unable to watch. And it's awful. It's so bad. But I will say this. When I was reading the article, this was an ESPN article that I was reading this from. The NCAA, their March Madness, that's where they use NCAA officials. Every other regular season game and conference tournament game, they're using conference officials.
Right.
So there's different levels of training, different levels of investment, different points of emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the regular season and conference tournaments, when it's hot garbage, you blame the conferences. It gets better in the tournament, but not my bunch.
Well, obviously, it's 88% for your biggest game.
Yeah. Yeah, and they said it was about 88% for like all of the tournament games. So
I will say one major rule that got changed for women's basketball this year. If you'll see during the games, like watching the Louisville game against DePaul, right? You know the restricted area underneath the basket?
Yeah.
So that is no longer a thing in the women's game.
Mm-hmm.
The restricted area is only right underneath the cylinder.
Here's what I wish they would do for that.
So for blocking and charges and stuff like that, it's no longer going to be called a block if you're in position inside the restricted area.
I don't hate that. I don't necessarily like it being just directly under the rim.
Yep.
I would like it a little bit further out from the rim, but like make another semicircle. And that's more on schools, I think. But like,
well, it's also just like funding and
semicircle.
investment. To be fair,
Absolutely.
this is the unfortunate part of like women's sports. Unfortunately, don't get the same funding as your predominant. I mean, like, to be fair, women's basketball does pretty decently right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's nothing compared to like your footballs, your basketballs, and then in some cases your baseballs.
Yeah, it depends on for
The draw report.
other sports
And
it
farther
depends on the
north,
school.
and also locations like farther north, you got hockey.
Yeah.
Farther west, you have volleyball.
At Richie Rich places you got lacrosse, but I don't know how much money that generates honestly.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's going to get better starting next year as far as funding.
We'll find out.
Because
The
of
TV rights deal.
Yes, exactly.
TV rights
Something
deal
I've harped on
ends.
quite a bit.
Yeah, TV rights deal ends for women's basketball, so there'll be a new deal.
For the national championship.
Right.
All right. Well, if you're an avid viewer of this podcast, I don't know why I chuckled there, because you guys all are. You'll notice last week I did a fun little section where I would give a picture. I would paint a picture of the conference races and then ask Sam who he thought was going to compete in the conference championship games, and that turned out to not be very fun because
they're kind of already painted.
Yeah. I should have done it earlier in the year.
It was more like a puzzle, and you just asked me to put the last pieces in.
That's pretty much actually, that's a very good analogy. Anyway,
But now he's asking me some questions that we finally have some answers.
Now it's timely, and it's perfect. So, with the firing of Jimbo Fisher, Zach Arnett, and the soon-to-be retirement of Brady Hoke, which, by the way, all three of those were on my list. I had to take them all off. I'm going to give Sam some names of coaches that maybe are on the hot seat, maybe aren't. I'm going to ask him how hot their seat are and their seat is, and then I'm going to ask him if he thinks they're going to be back at their school next year. All right, we're going to start with, I did this by conference, by the way.
Fair enough.
We're going to start with the ACC. Mario Cristobal. Miami is currently 6-4 this season, and as a coach at Miami in his second year, they're sitting at 11-11 over the course of 2 years.
I think it comes down to how they finish this last part of the year.
Yeah.
6-4 is not bad if you finish 8-4.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 6-6 they're bowl eligible. I'm gonna lean towards safe, but also I'm like,
You think there's a little bit of heat there?
A little bit of heat, but I'm gonna say safe.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at their schedule, they could do any of the options. They could split their 2 games. They could lose them out. They could win them out. It's all of them are possible.
Yep.
All right. Next, we've got Tyler's gonna love this one. We got Dabo Sweeney with Clemson. They are 6-4 this year. Big disappointment, but he's been there for forever, basically, since he took over as an interim head coach. His career record is 167-43.
Yeah, nothing quite like Dabo Sweeney having his fans rush the field after beating Georgia Tech.
Apparently, Clemson always rushes the field.
Really?
Which is the dumbest thing in the world.
Is that actually a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, why are they rushing the field? You know my take about rushing the field and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Dabo's definitely safe. He's not on a hot seat right now. Does this again next year? It's very hot.
Right.
Let me put it that way. He's not. Will he be there next year? Yes. If he does this again next year, is he there? No.
All right. Next, we got Pat Narduzzi at Pitt. They are probably the worst team in the ACC right now.
I think the next team is, but yeah.
Yeah, they're currently sitting at 2-8, and his career at Pitt, he is 64-47.
I don't know what he did last year to compare it to this year. Obviously it's a bad year. You're 2-8, but it's also like
last year Pitt was okay. They had a little bit of a disappointment based on what they thought they were going to do with the transfer they brought in, but they were not bad. I think they went 8-4, maybe 7-5.
See, I don't know enough about this one, unfortunately. So it's like,
okay, I say this over the years, Pat Narduzzi has slowly gotten more and more aggressive with the local media. He has slowly gotten madder and madder and madder with them, and honestly, they're not too happy with him either. So.
All right, then.
I mean,
I guess it's hot, but I mean,
the decision ultimately falls on the school, not the press.
Right. But I mean, I guess it's hot. I don't know enough about this one, unfortunately.
All right.
So I mean, can I just say I'm impartial? If he gets fired, sure. If he doesn't, this is one of the few where I'm like, I don't know.
All right. I'll take it.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean,
I thought it was an interesting one because
Oh,
2
definitely.
years ago they won the ACC.
yeah.
They
Right.
had a Heisman candidate go to New York for the Heisman ceremony, and then it's fallen off so quickly. So I just thought it would be an interesting one. The next one, who you think is the worst team in the ACC,
Yeah, and
we've
he's gonna
got
get
Tony
fired.
Elliott at Virginia. They
Yeah.
are 2-8 this year. He's 5-15 so far through his first 2 years
Yeah.
at Virginia.
What he's shown is that he's a good coordinator for Clemson and not a good head coach for Virginia. To be fair, he did lose his starting quarterback in Brendan Armstrong to NC State, but other than that, it's been nothing of great these past few years. I mean, when literally your only wins are to UNC and William and Mary. I mean, UNC, great win, solid for you. You guys have been close in every single game that you've played. You fought and everything, but you gotta get results. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've lost every single game this year by like one possession or thereabouts. But it's like, when are you going to finish a game?
Yeah. I mean, they fight extremely hard for him, which
That's
it's
great.
interesting. No, they
You can fight all is really hard. You can go distance, Rocky, but you still lose.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
he-
what's the story that we're looking for here?
he doesn't seem to have what it takes to get his teams over the hump late in games. I will say this: Virginia does have a history of not firing coaches, maybe when they should, in football.
I mean, it's been 2 years, 5 wins. That's bad.
It is very bad. Yeah, it's bad. They did cancel 2 games last year because of the shooting. So
Right.
yeah, that's 2 opportunities, and then one of those would have been a win. But still, you're talking 6 wins in 2 years.
I got you.
But final ACC coach, we've got Dino Babers at Syracuse. They're 5-5 this year. They just got their first win in the ACC, and he's 41-54 overall at Syracuse.
I mean, are you okay being mediocre is the question, because that's what they are. They're a mediocre program right now. There's nothing about Syracuse that... I mean, like, this is the situation where it's like, if you fire him, who can you get? That's basically the question here. If you fire a Syracuse, who can you pull in as a Syracuse football program and get? And I'm trying to think of a name that would like be appealing to go to Syracuse, because you either have to go get like some. It's either got to be you're giving a first-time shot to a coordinator of some sort that is hungry and willing to like be like, hey, this stick my name. This will be a stepping stool for me to go to another level. But I mean, like, I just don't see like. I'm gonna say safe just because like I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that's like wants to go there or like.
I mean,
So-
I think he's in his 8th year at Syracuse. They've had 2 seasons where they have 6 or more wins.
Right.
They could reach that this year. They could go. I'm surprised Dino Babers hasn't left. He's one of those guys that's kind of known for just like sticking around a school for like 3 to 5 years and then dipping.
Huh.
I mean, he tried desperately to get the Louisville job. Didn't get it, obviously. But it's interesting. They've been pretty mediocre since he's gotten there. All right, Neil Brown at West Virginia. They are 6-4 this year. They are 28-29 overall since he's gotten there.
Nah, keep him. He's doing a great job.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep him. Why not? 6-4. You're bowl eligible. Congratulations.
He got off to a very hot start when he first got hired there, and he was also incredible at Troy. He's one of those people that was an assistant under Mark Stoops at Kentucky, and then left because he
Was
thought he would.
assistant under Mark Stoops.
Well, he left because he thought he would be better somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we've got Dana Holgerson, former West Virginia coach. The reason Neil Brown got the job, he left for Houston. Houston is 4-6 this year. They're 31-26 under him.
I mean, one bad season. It's basically what it seems like. Seems like this is the first year of downtrend. If you trust a guy, you keep him. I mean, like, it might be getting a little hot, but I don't think it's hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, they had a great season.
Right.
They
I think
They were 12-2 2 years ago.
Right. They do it again next year. He's gone. You know, it's like one of those where it's like weather the storm a little bit for this one.
Yeah. A lot of people at the beginning of the year thought that both Neil Brown and Dana Holgerson their seats were like scorching hot. And then they've both a little bit saved it, especially Neil Brown.
Right.
But finally this is a fun one. Finally in the Big 12, we got Scott Satterfield at Cincinnati.
So
sitting at 2-8 in the season and
Shout
2-8 in his Cincinnati career.
So you want to know what's fun? Shout out to the relatives up in Cincinnati. I got word from them. They came down. We went out drinking. We were talking about football. It was the night before the Virginia Tech Louisville game, talking about football and stuff. And I brought up the question, so what do you think about Satterfield? And this is, and I quote, pardon my French, we fucking hate him.
Yep.
I mean, this is probably one of the worst hires I have ever seen.
It's not great.
To go from a program who didn't want you to buy him out, because genuinely, I thought he was going to get fired last year at Louisville.
The reason he left for Cincinnati is because he had that 8-win, or he had the 7-win year, regular season. And then he approached the athletic director and said, I want a contract extension. And the AD said, you have not deserved one. He wasn't going to fire him. He was just going to let him hang out. Yeah, write out the contract. And so instead of get his contract renewed, he decided for a little bit more job security with a 5-year deal with Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Cincinnati bought our buyout for him.
Cincinnati paid for Jeff Brom and company.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
They hate him there. They literally hate him.
Yeah.
Those fans are absolutely, well, I mean, like, to be fair.
It went from Luke Fickell.
You went from Luke Fickell to Scott Satterfield. Yeah. You're going to see some depressing times up there with your hot dog chili. Yeah. It's going to be rough.
Hot dog chili. Good old Skyline chili with your cinnamon and your chili. What are you guys doing?
With your Geta and your oats and your pork.
With your poor infrastructure. You ever been to Cincinnati? You got family, yeah.
All the time.
I
have a great time up in Cincinnati.
Yeah, but the roads and buildings are all so old and decrepit.
But
it looks like they don't. It looks like Nashville.
You a big beer guy?
No.
Oh well.
Wait, what's better?
Oktoberfest is a fun time.
What's better, Coors or Stella Artois?
Shut up.
What's better?
Neither. Plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah, Coors and Stella are the same exact beer. Fun fact.
No, they're not.
There's no difference biologically. Chemically, there's no difference.
No, there's not.
You blind test, you can taste the difference.
Yeah, I can know what Rocky Mountain piss water is, and I'll spit it out.
Right. Okay. Next, going to state over, we got Tom Allen at Indiana. They are 3-7 this year.
Why are we still? Why is he? I mean, this is the same thing as the Syracuse one, but it's a lot worse. Because it's like, who wants to go to Indiana?
For football.
Right, for football. Who wants to go to Indiana and be Indiana's head football coach? Who wants to be the punching bag of the Big Ten year in and year out? Because genuinely, it's like, with Indiana, you gotta have a schedule now, since they're going to no divisions anymore.
Mm-hmm. And they're upping the number of conference games.
Yeah, they're upping the number of conference games, and they're adding some dogs in Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC.
Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, though, is 3 wins just what Indiana's expected to do now? I mean, like, honestly, like, what do you expect from this team? What do you expect from that coach? Like, I mean, can you get to a bowl game as Indiana?
3 years ago, they should have been playing for the Big Ten title until the Big Ten changed the rules to keep Indiana out of the game and to put Ohio State in the game.
Right.
But
I mean, like, honestly, though, like, looking at this team and where they are, I mean, like, it is something to build a program. But, I mean, like,
he hasn't really done that.
No, he hasn't. At the same time being said, who can do that at Indiana?
I don't know.
Exactly. I mean,
Lee
like,
Corso? Lee Corso back in the 60s and 70s?
He runs out and just... Do they even have a mascot? What's their...
The Hoosiers.
Yeah, but what is that?
A Hoosier is someone that lives in Indiana. That's what it is.
I mean, like, what's the headgear? Is my point. Like,
I don't know.
When he picks Indiana, he runs out with
Corn and a windmill.
Yeah,
Windmill.
fair enough. But yeah, I mean, like, what do you expect from Indiana?
I don't know. Speaking of, Ryan Walters at Purdue. He's in his first year at Purdue, and they are 3-7.
It's the same situation as Satterfield. You go from a very good coach to what you have now, and it's like Jeff Brom was able to coach you all to what, 8-4,
9-3, 2 years ago.
Right.
8-4 last year.
Right.
8-4 in a berth
so
in
that's
the
what a
championship
really
game.
good coach can do. I think even a good coach gets you bowl eligible. It's just, it's one of those hard situations. It's like, with him, it's like, give him another year. Hopefully he might be able to build something. He did lose a couple of guys coming to Louisville and stuff. Portal, it was an issue, but I mean, like, give him. I don't think he's gonna get fired.
All right.
It's also, who can you get?
Yeah. Do you think Tom Allen's going to get fired?
I mean, like, who can you get to replace Tom Allen? I mean, that's the whole question.
A coordinator or a washed-up head coach? I mean, that's what a lot of these, like, mid to low-level schools, that's what you got to go for. You got to take a flyer on a guy, or you got to...
Come on down, Jimbo Fisher, the newest Hoosier in town.
Exactly, yeah, honestly. That's what you got to do.
I mean, if Jimbo Fisher's there just by name status, sure. It might get Indiana fans excited for next season.
All right, well, we're going to do Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. 7-3 this year, 16-8 overall in his coaching career at Notre Dame.
That's pretty bad, 16-8 for the Notre Dame. Good job.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. You're averaging 2.5 losses a year, basically. One more, it's 3.
This is his second year.
Oh.
He's averaging 4 a year.
Jeez.
I will say he did lose the bowl game. That was the first after Brian Kelly left. That was the first ever game that he coached at Notre Dame. So that does skew it a little bit.
It's the same issue with, like, Penn State. It's like, where do you want to be as a program? And I know for Notre Dame fans, they want to be at the top. They want to be competing in the playoff. They want to be that. Freeman hasn't shown to be that guy so far.
Phenomenal defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Very good. I mean, like, he hasn't shown it. It's not hot. It's simmering.
Yeah.
He's not going to get fired at the end of the year, but also it's like, he does this again next year, there will be murmurs.
Mm-hmm. Notre Dame, probably the hottest team in all of college football, and I'm talking attractiveness. Sam Hartman looks like a Disney prince.
Sure.
Marcus Freeman is a gorgeous man.
I'll give you that, yeah. I was wondering where you're going with this. I was like, name me another player on the team that looks good looking.
They carry it. Hottest team in all of college football.
This is a quarterback and head coach duo. Sure, I'll give you that. Best looking head coach and quarterback duo.
I mean,
it's not even a contest.
Sam Hartman looks like a Disney prince. Man.
I don't know. I think Drake May and Mac Brown give him a run for
You
the
think? Mac Brown looks like a 6'5" middle schooler. Not Mac Brown, the other guy. Drake May.
Drake May.
All right. Well, we have no teams actually in the Pac-12 that I put on here, but
because there really isn't any.
yeah, Pac-12's really good this year.
Yeah.
Pac-2 in their final year of existence,
Mm-hmm.
at least as we know it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to the SEC. This is an interesting one. Mark Stoops
Yeah.
at Kentucky. They are 6-4 this year. He is 72-63 overall, but he's the winningest coach in Kentucky history.
I don't see why. Do they actually think he's on? I don't think it's hot at all.
Fans are a little bit. I'll let you talk and then I'll get my take on it.
I really don't think it's hot though. I mean, like, I haven't heard anything where it's like, sure, you're bowl eligible. I mean, looking at your schedule, it's like, sure, beat Mississippi State, beat Florida. I mean, like, who are their 4 losses to?
Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri.
Why should it be hot? Those are 4 decent teams. I mean, like, you could argue the Tennessee loss is a bad loss, but I mean, like, you lost 3 games to top 15 schools. I don't understand. Like,
So you don't think his seat's hot at all?
no.
Okay. Here's why I put him on here. Here's my take on this. He has clearly it is without a question, he has. You can't deny this. He has taken Kentucky up a tier,
1,000%.
maybe 2, maybe 3, as far as
They're now
the pecking order of college football.
They used to be like Vanderbilt getting slapped around, and now they're like a team that's like can compete and be borderline.
If you were in the SEC West and you saw Kentucky on your schedule, you used to be so happy that you got Kentucky.
Now they're fighting in it.
Now you're not as happy.
Well, they're beating Florida. I mean, like they hadn't beat Florida until
Okay, well, Florida's probably they're not gonna make a bowl game this year.
Well, we'll get to them, but yeah. I mean, like I'm just saying, they hadn't beat Florida in forever, and then he beat Florida.
Mm-hmm. It's undeniable that he has improved the cachet of Kentucky football. That being said, he is 1-17 in top 25 matchups. You know, not where Kentucky is ranked top 25, but where they play top 25 teams. That one victory against the top 25 team was a Florida team that was ranked in the top 25 that finished the year with a losing record.
Ooh, wow.
Their non-conference schedule is just dog water.
To be fair, I mean, you're in the SEC. It doesn't matter. You pay the money to win a game.
I'm just saying, the games that they win non-conference, and I'm including Louisville in this in recent years, have just been walkover games.
Right,
like absolutely no reason that you should ever lose those games. Mm-hmm. And I think there's an argument to be made, and I think that their athletic director, Mitch Barnhart, kind of feels this way too, because they did give him that huge contract extension that pays him like $9 million a year. He's one of the top paid coaches in all of college football now. But importantly in that, originally when he was hired, he had a clause in his contract that every 7-win season that he had just added an extra year to his contract.
Oh, wow.
That clause is now gone. I think Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director of Kentucky, is no longer satisfied with just middling, you know? Being like, okay, we're going to go to a bowl every now and then, we're going to have a 9-win year, but like not really.
I mean, like he is the guy that took Kentucky to another level, as you said.
I think
Mark Stoops will be Kentucky's head coach next year.
I agree with you. I just think there's an argument to be made that not this year, maybe not even next year, but before too long, if he doesn't take that next step again, if you don't get closer to the A&Ms of the world, as far as just how you're viewed,
right.
Do you get rid of him for another guy? For a guy that you think can take you there?
I mean, I will say, out of all the names of the schools that we've listed so far, Kentucky is a pretty decently attractive school.
At the moment, yeah. They have better facilities ever since Stoops has gotten there.
No, I mean, like, he's definitely elevated that program 1,000%.
No, you cannot deny that.
Now, if you want to take it to another level, it's once again, who can you get, who can you bring in? Because they're a tier below the A&Ms and the Penn States.
I will say...
But they're a tier above of, like, every other school that we've listed besides, like, Notre Dame, I want to say.
I will say this. The current coach of Troy, John Summerall, used to be an assistant at Kentucky. Mm-hmm. He is killing it right now at Troy. He's killing it so far. They're 8-2. Last year they finished, I think, 12-2. Mm-hmm. And they finished ranked, I believe, for the first time ever.
Gotcha.
That's an option. Mm-hmm. Just saying. And that's for the people at Kentucky. Do you want to can Stoops and get Summerall before someone else can get him? But, like, I don't know. No. It's an argument. We'll probably get some dirty comments about this one.
I don't agree with that one, but
I'm just saying.
He's safe.
All right. I think we've been doing this for a little bit. Let's try to barrel through that. Yeah,
we only got 2 or 3 left.
Yeah.
We're fine.
We got other stuff to go over.
That's fine.
That takes a while. Next, we got Billy Napier at Florida. They're 5-5 this year. They're 11-12 overall.
No, he's definitely hot.
Yeah.
This is a hot seat. Gosh, from what Florida was from when I was a kid to where they are now, I wouldn't believe it for a second.
Yeah,
but, I mean, gosh, to go from those very talented teams that are now being shown on Netflix specials and everything to what it is now and what the Swamp was to what it is now. Oh, man. Florida used to be a top 10 team regularly, and now they're just like, they're an afterthought, honestly. And I will say, Florida, in my opinion, is a very attractive job, as it should. I feel like for what it is as a program, the tradition, the fans, the colors, I mean, I don't know.
Colors.
Yeah, I really like the colors, man.
All right.
It's like that Boise State colors.
Yeah,
everything.
they're very similar.
I really like the colors.
Okay.
I think they go well. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, you can bring in a top coach.
Yeah.
And
that's
Billy
what
Napier's
people
not
thought
it.
Billy Napier was. I mean,
Well, yeah, he
did
looked really good at Louisiana.
Yeah, he did incredible there.
Yeah, and I do wonder if you go Power 5, if you can get a decent Power 5 coach who is like, I don't know, like a Lance Leipold.
You could get Lance Leipold, I think.
I think that's a good hire.
If you,
I think
if
that fits too.
Florida got rid of Billy Napier, I think they could get Lance Leipold. No problem.
Lance Leipold, Elko.
Here's my take on this. I don't think they're going to fire him.
Why?
Because he's got such a good recruiting class coming in. He has done a good job recruiting since he's been there.
I'm going to make the argument that recruiting classes don't matter.
You don't think so?
No, I'll explain. So basically, prime example, Satterfield left. We kept majority of that recruiting class intact. One of the best recruiting classes in football. I think with NIL and the money at hand, it's not as much about who you're playing for, but as a matter of what you're playing for. I think NIL has definitely changed the aspect of like, because it used to be you play for this coach, I want to be with this team, this environment, this thing.
It's still an aspect.
Right, it definitely is, and I think that is important. But I also think at the same time, it is also like what's on the dotted line and how much am I signing for. And if this is what the school's offering, at the end of the day, this is my job. This is what I'm going for. And it's just like the NFL. Why go play for the Jets? Because they're giving me $65 million, C.J. Mosley. That's why I'm going there.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Former Raven, C.J. Mosley.
Yeah, I just do that to you.
Yeah. All right. I don't think they're going to get fired. I think what's going to happen is he's going to fire an assistant.
Oh, so it's going to be
Florida. Yeah, Florida fans have been just up in arms about their special teams coach. They hate that guy because Florida has had just so many errors on special teams this year. Not to forget the 8 men on the field in game 1 against Utah.
Yeah,
that's on special teams.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
So I think they're going to can that guy. It's obviously not going to make all the difference in the world, but
yeah,
that's going to buy him a little time. And I think the recruiting class still does mean something. Until we get a new wave of athletic directors and a new mindset of athletic directors, I think
to good class coming in.
Exactly, I think it still means something to them.
I don't know until you can show me hardcore evidence of like a NIL recruiting class flipping drastically after a coaching change. I refuse to believe it.
Well, this next one is an interesting one to me. There's
I agree
Shane
with this.
Beamer at South Carolina. They're 4-6 this year. He's 19-17 in his coaching career at South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know. Preseason had a lot of high hopes for South Carolina. Thought they'd be a pretty decent SEC school, and right now it's looking like they're not going to be bowl eligible. That's what it's looking like.
Yeah, they've got Kentucky and Clemson.
Yeah. Gosh, what a poor season, really. This is a bad season. Like, you know what? If they lose out, yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Because the talent's
because
there.
then he would be 500 over 3 years.
I mean, that's another one though where it's like he had a really good recruiting class.
He did, yeah.
And I mean, it doesn't matter if you can get a recruiting class if you can't perform with it.
Yeah, but also recruiting is for football. It's different than basketball. You know, you bring in
It takes time.
Yeah, freshmen aren't going to start at every position that they come in.
No.
All right, the final one. Sam Pittman at Arkansas. They are 3-7 this year. Big disappointment.
Yeah.
He is 22-24 overall at Arkansas.
They're like Virginia, man.
You think?
Oh yeah, they've been competitive in games.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant as far as like stature. I was like,
No,
really?
no. I mean, like this year and like competing wise, they've competed in most of the games that they've been in. They just can't find a way to win. And it's kind of sucks because I'm so hard on what's his name Tony Elliott, but then here it's like it's the SEC, but it's like sure seat's hot. Will he be there next year? Who can you get?
Here's one little nugget, though, about Sam Pittman. He signed a new contract a few years ago. In that contract, there was a stipulation that if his record was 500 or above, then the buyout was $16 million. If it's below 500, I think it's like $8 million or something like that. I don't know the specifics of it if it's below 500. His record since he has signed that contract is, I believe, 19-17. He could lose out this year, and he's still going to be at 500, meaning the buyout is going to be $16 million. That's a lot of money. By the way, let's say Kenny Payne's buyout. Let's say Kenny Payne's buyout were $16 million.
It's gonna happen.
Do you think Louisville could afford that? $16 million to fire Kenny Payne?
I want to think they can.
Okay. But do you genuinely think they could afford that? Because Louisville,
Come
believe it
on
or
down,
not,
Papa John. Welcome to the
we
naming
forgive
right.
ya.
We forgive you.
Louisville makes more money per year as an athletic department than Arkansas does, which is genuinely shocking.
Yeah, a little bit, but also looking at the size of Little Rock and the size of Louisville, it's not too surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right about that.
I mean, the only thing is like they
But
got
they've
Walmart.
they got the Waltons behind them.
They got Walmart.
I guess they could be like, hey,
yeah. Who's the daddy who's getting that, taking care of that
yeah,
check?
it's the Waltons.
Because I mean, like A&M definitely has some daddies. They got that oil money.
That's true. You think he's going to be back next year? You think his seat's hot or not? I mean, you said his seat is hot, but do you think he's going to be back?
Sure, he's gone.
You think he's gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
I mean,
I like to be
have
optimistic and thinking poor coaches get their money and leave.
That's optimism. All right. Well,
And the world keeps going
Yeah.
around. It's just money after all.
speaking of,
Money.
you ready to make some?
Oh, you were close last week. Shout out to you. Plus 4 this week.
I was +4. I got 5 right and 1 wrong. It's fine. The games that we had right were SMU over North Texas, Auburn over Arkansas, Clemson over Georgia Tech, Toledo over Eastern Michigan, and NC State over Wake Forest. None of those games were really in doubt. And then we had Duke losing in double overtime to North Carolina.
They were 10-point underdogs, so kudos to you for almost getting that one.
I thought they were going to have Riley Leonard.
I was very proud of this week for my fiduciary.
What can I say?
You were
I've
very
got your
good.
best interest in mind.
It was the +4 of a lifetime, and boy, oh boy, did we ride it out.
Yeah. But I really thought Riley Leonard was going to play.
Yep.
And he didn't.
Nope.
Well,
So who are the holds?
all of them. I'm making this easy. I'm not dropping a single team.
Well, okay then.
Yep.
Who are the holds?
You can take that one to the bank.
Okay.
Fiduciary out.
So Duke is at Virginia.
Dub.
Well, it says Holy Cross here, but it says Virginia there. I assume you know who they're playing, or did you just?
No, I think it's Virginia. I don't think they're playing Holy Cross, unless it's Duke basketball.
No, football games.
No, I'm pretty sure they're playing Virginia.
Okay, cool. Duke is a hold.
Yep.
We've got SMU, who's rolling
SMU.
still.
That's a
Surprise.
tough one, though. They play at Memphis.
7.5-point favorites.
That's basically to decide, not officially, but that matchup and then Tulane versus UTSA, that's basically going to decide who is in the American championship game.
You know, wait. Auburn's on a bye.
Is Auburn on a bye? No, they play New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
New
20
Mexico State.
Yep.
Yeah.
23.5-point favorites.
I don't think it should be that high, considering New Mexico is 8-3. But I think Clemson. Clemson plays North Carolina.
And they're favored by almost a touchdown, 6.5.
I think they're gonna win. Whether Louisville beats Miami or not, I think they're gonna clinch up the ACC for Louisville.
Toledo versus Bowling Green State.
Yeah, Bowling Green's terrible.
They're favored by 9.5 points. And then last but not least, you have NC State.
NC State.
What a defense
They play
have.
Virginia Tech. Also, fun fact: NC State beats Virginia Tech. That also clinches the ACC for Louisville.
So this is your only underdog
Really, Virginia Tech's favored in that game.
by 2.5.
Well, look at that. Is it at Virginia Tech? Probably.
It is at Virginia
All
Tech.
right. Well, that's it. I'm not making any adjustments.
So last week it was $1 win $29.
Holy
This time
crap.
it is $1 win $6.45.
Okay, so it's a lot less.
Yeah, you picked a good amount of favorites. Your only underdog is NC State.
Well, you heard it here, folks. I don't really know what you heard, but you heard it here.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
No problem. We're gonna get into the pick'ems.
Yeah,
now.
we're going to get into the pick'ems. Apparently, I'm not doing so hot because you guys suck at this, and now we're tied. So,
I mean, you did miss Utah,
Zoinks.
Rutgers, and Duke last week.
I really thought Riley Leonard was going to play.
I mean,
I really thought he was going to play.
I got you.
All right, well, let's get into it. We got
No problem.
coming off a loss and coming off a close win. We've got Utah versus Arizona.
I like Utah in this one. I think the defense is very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they'll be tested against Arizona. Arizona's been surprisingly good as well. I think it'll be a good game that I didn't expect in the preseason, but give me Utah.
I'm taking Arizona. Jed Fish, man, just keeps on coming with the top 25 victories. He might be talked about for some other coaching jobs.
Yeah, honestly.
All right. After that, we've got the good old battle for LA. We got UCLA versus USC. Both teams lost last week.
Yeah.
UCLA lost. Was not expecting that.
I was not either.
And this is also USC's last game of the regular season.
Oh, that makes sense.
They
yeah.
are sitting at 7-4. They've lost 4 out of 5. It's
Yeah.
bad for them. Yeah, that being said, I'm going to take USC.
And it only gets worse. Give me UCLA.
All right. Well, next we got Michigan versus Maryland. The reason this is on here is because Sharon Moore will be coaching instead of Jim Harbaugh, which we actually didn't talk about.
Well, I
There's
mean,
not
like,
much to say.
I mean, Jim Harbaugh got suspended because of light of evidence.
Yeah.
Well, and also just the high circumstances of the concerns of basically Michigan did cheat.
Absolutely.
And at the very least, he
Free my
didn't
man Harbaugh.
know ball about it. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of which, give me the cheaters. They're going to roll over Maryland without their coach.
Here's the thing. I really want Maryland to win this game. Like, I really want Maryland to win
You
this
believe in Maryland, but you don't think it's going to happen.
game. Not at all.
Are you picking your heart or your
I'm
head?
picking my head. I'm picking Michigan. They've just got too much talent. All right. After that, we got Rutgers, Penn State. Both of these teams coming off of losses. Rutgers coming off of 2 losses, in fact. They were 6-2 at one point, and now they're 6-4.
Yep.
I've got Penn State in this one.
Yeah. Rutgers is not name is not Ohio State or Michigan, so Penn State's going to win.
Exactly. It's going to be easy dub. All right. Next, we've got Louisville versus Miami. Miami without their newfound Jim at quarterback, having to play Tyler Van Dyke, who once upon a time
Was a good
everyone
quarterback.
thought was a future first-round pick.
To be fair, he started off the season very well, and then he became a dumpster fire.
Did the same thing last year.
Oh.
Yep. But I'm picking Louisville in this one.
Shocker.
Well, no, I feel bad because we are openly Louisville fans, but
to be fair, this is a
neither
season
of us have picked against Louisville this year.
Well, I mean, we've not picked against Louisville because Louisville's been shown that they can win games.
Yeah.
If Louisville was 6-4 right now, I would be like, maybe Miami's got us.
Yeah.
Because I want to beat you in these pick'ems. But I just think Louisville's the better team. There's a reason why we're top 10 right
And
now.
without a shadow of a doubt, Louisville's the better coached team.
Well, really?
Mario Cristobal is not a good X's and O's coach. He is not a good in-game adjustment coach.
He knows algebra. He's an X's and Y's guy.
He's that rah-rah guy, which is great, you know? But the problem is, Jeff Brom is a great X's and O coach, and he's a rah-rah guy.
Apparently, he was not a great guy in college.
Well, you don't have to say that, man. Come on.
I just know some people.
Well, I know. We live in the city. Anyway, look, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, people can change, and you can try to change them, but they don't change.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Love you, Jeff. Keep winning games. That's all that matters.
All right. Next, we mentioned it earlier. We've got SMU versus Memphis.
SMU's the best team in that league.
Yeah, I'm going to take SMU as well.
They're curb stomping kids.
Yeah, they're winning by a lot.
That
offense is
they are
electric.
taking no prisoners.
I'm kind of scared with them going to the ACC next year a little bit.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We play them next year.
Oh, that'll be fun.
At SMU.
That'll be fun.
Actually, no. They're coming to Louisville.
I mean, that's even great. It'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah. All right, we're in agreement there. We've got Georgia versus Tennessee.
Give me Georgia.
Yeah.
This Tennessee train is no longer on the tracks.
Yeah, that was off the tracks a while ago.
That was a fun one while it lasted, wasn't it?
Sure was. It's at Tennessee, though, so we'll see. But no, Georgia.
Rocky
Georgia,
Top, baby.
North Carolina versus Clemson.
I got Clemson.
Yeah, so do I.
I think Clemson is bouncing back, and it's a little too late for them in the season.
Yeah, Tyler really got them going.
Yeah, they're going to. I think they're a good team. They probably should be ranked, but their record doesn't deservedly of being ranked.
I don't think they should be ranked yet.
You know what I mean, though?
It's not the point in the year where four lost teams are
Let me
ranked.
put it. If it's like on paper, they shouldn't be ranked. Off of the eye test of watching them recently, they should be ranked.
Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, like, they're not.
That's the weird thing about rankings is like.
You got to do the paper first and then the eye test, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's also like, because like, are you winning games? Yeah, but are you winning games ugly? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Are you losing games the best way possible?
Yep. Speaking of, follow us on Instagram for our top 25s. They're great.
Yeah.
They're so accurate.
What's not to love?
They're very accurate, highly accurate. Next game, we've got Kansas State versus Kansas.
I
Battle for the Sunshine State.
Yeah. Sorry, Lance Leipold. Give me Kansas State. Kansas State's kind of rolling right now.
I'm also going to take Kansas State. I don't think they're going to have Jalen Daniels in this game. They might even be without Jason Bean, who both are solid quarterbacks, especially Jalen Daniels. So, Kansas State, give me climbing all the way. Finally, we've got, I guess it's our game of the week because I put it there. I didn't even think about it when I was putting them in.
I mean, honestly though, it's like the only ranked.
It is, yeah.
It's like Arizona and Utah.
I didn't even think about it. Yeah.
It works out.
All right, Washington versus Oregon State.
To be fair, I think this will be a good game.
Oh yeah, both of these teams have bad defenses.
Yeah. I think it'll be closer than what people think, but still give me Washington.
It's at Oregon State. That's really interesting.
Honestly, I'm interested to see what the spread is on this one because, like,
here, you know what? I'm going crazy. I'm going to say Oregon State wins this game.
Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised.
Just because I feel like I haven't picked enough upsets, I'm going with Oregon State.
It's a 1-point favorite for Oregon State right now.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Oh, so I'm not even picking an upset at all.
No.
Okay, well, give me Oregon State then.
No, literally, look.
It's wild.
Honestly, thinking about it, it's not that surprising.
No, I mean both of these teams try to win in the same way this year at least.
Right.
Where they just try to outscore you.
Mean, yeah.
And Washington is coming off of playing Utah. That is a physical game.
Yeah. No, I completely understand the pick. I'm just gonna go with the undefeated team, and because, yeah.
I know it's not a bad pick. I don't think not a bad way to go there.
Nope. Right. So our differences this week are Arizona and Utah, UCLA, USC, and then Washington, Oregon State. We got 3 differences.
All right.
All right.
Well,
thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
No problem.